Hello everyone, welcome to the episode 48 of Solid Saturday. The guest we have today, Dr. Anshuman Ghosh, is a data science and strategy leader with 11 plus years of rich experience in leading tech, media, and retail companies. He is currently head of data science at Sony, and earlier he has worked for Disney, Target, Wipro, Grab, and Spice companies. He is currently also a visiting professor at top IITs, IIMs, IISc, etc. He is a PhD, MBA topper from XLRI, and a computer engineering graduate. He was awarded LinkedIn Spotlight 2019 for being one of the topmost inspiring and engaging leaders. Wow, a lot of achievements within short period of time. So definitely it is going to be a lot of fun to explore his career journey and learn more about from his career journey and how he is managing to lead his area of interest. So welcome Anshuman. Very happy to have you on this show and really appreciate your time and consideration.
Thank you so much. I think it's a privilege for me to be on your show. I've seen, a lot of great people coming on your show, and I think you are doing a great job in evangelizing data science, artificial intelligence, and all the areas. And I think you are doing a great job. So I'm very happy and privileged to be on your show. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Pleasure is all mine. So to begin with, actually, from this time onwards, we are going to divide the questions into the sections. So we will cover a couple of questions around passion and then some questions from the audience. Then again, come back to your volunteering and work related experience, and then ending the podcast with leadership. To begin with, I would like to ask the question is that, your profile is completely aligned to this data analytics and data science field. So how did you find your area of interest and managing to lead it?
Yeah, I think I didn't decide to get into data science because, when I started my studies or did different things, I think it was not so hyped up and not so big as it is today. I would say I got little lucky, but at the same time, at every point of time in my life, I have pursued things which I was passionate about and which also I thought I was competent to do. So, based on my competency and my passion, I have chosen. Based on my competency, so definitely I studied, science when I was doing my 10th or 12th. So definitely I studied that. I fell in love with computers, and hence I did my engineering in computer science long back. And as I think many people do in India after doing my engineering graduation, I started IT, Wipro, which was one of the largest IT companies in India, and I started there. So till that time, I think my career journey would have been very similar to probably most of the people in India who do engineering and then join an IT company. But after that, after working there for 2-3 years for different Fortune 100 clients, I realized that, yes, computer science and technical knowledge is very important, but I also needed to learn about business and the domain, right? And that is the time I joined this MBA program at XLRI. So I did the MBA coursework and then followed it up with a PhD in digital analytics in that area. So social media, and if somebody posts some review on social media, how does it impact the consumer decision making? So I finished my PhD in 2014. And after that, I joined Spice, which was one of the leading telecom companies in India. I worked there for very short time and then moved on to work for Disney in India, Disney Star TV, which is the leading media entertainment company globally also in India. And that is the time I think I would say before that probably my work was related to more analytics or research, but not very data science oriented. And it is that time when I joined Disney in 2015. From that time onwards, I also started picking up some of the skills, and I also saw data science emerging as a very important and big one of the best career options. So I learned Python and R and Tableau and a lot of things. Of course, I had a computer science background. I knew SQL, I knew C, C++, Java, some of the languages. So I would say that's why I said, I got a little lucky. So it was a little easier for me to transition. But that is the time I started working on more data science or analytics related areas. And after that, of course, last 2-3 companies that I worked for, after that I joined Target as lead data scientist, and then Grab, and now I'm heading the data science for Sony R&D in India. So last 2-3 roles has been fully in the area of data science, be it machine learning, be it some deep learning, and core data science. And I definitely, enjoy it, as well as I feel it adds a lot of value to business. So, I'm thoroughly enjoying it. If you want to know a little bit more about any of the areas that I discussed, I'll be more than happy to share more. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you so much for sharing. And the way I understood it, that you were a lot more focused on the learnings as well. So that's
Absolutely.
how your knowledge you are able to share with the people, because you already invested a lot more time in the learning. So thank you
Yes.
so much for sharing that. Moving towards our next question is section is moreover about questions from the audience. So I have
Okay.
shortlisted a couple of questions. The
Sure.
first question is from Ilir Kalaba. So
Mm-hmm.
he's asking that my experience last 10 years is in modeling in bank sector using SAS. For the
Mm-hmm.
present and next coming years, which is more important, machine learning or artificial intelligence? And thank
Mm-hmm.
you and all the best.
Okay, I think thank you very much for the question. I think it's a very good question. Before I answer the specific question, I would like to clarify, some terms so that we are on the same page. So I think the term AI has been there for a very long time, and it's not today. I think even from 1950s or 60s, there was some time when there was hype, and then it went down, and again the hype started, again went down. So we have seen multiple such cycles.
Mm-hmm.
And AI, to in a very simple layman term, is when it's called artificial intelligence, is
Mm-hmm.
like some machine or non-human entity, which is showing some sign of intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I talk about intelligence, even adding 2 plus 2 is intelligence, right? So today's, once we have very powerful computers, it may not seem so groundbreaking, but when for the first time computers started adding numbers, it was a big achievement. So AI started long back, and I think in that journey we have come in a very long way, and I think we have achieved a lot. And I think other thing he mentioned about is machine learning. So machine learning, I would say, is a subset of AI. AI is anything where a machine is showing some intelligence, be it some numerical intelligence or linguistic intelligence. But machine learning is a subset of it, where uh, instead of instead of actively programming a machine or computer, we feed some framework to the machine, and we feed some data to the machine. Using this framework and data, the machine learns on its own, right? So that's where machine learning is a little different from the classical statistics or classical other algorithms.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how these terms are different. Now going forward, I think he mentioned that he's working for a bank and using SAS, and
Mm-hmm.
which is really great, because I think in finance industry, SAS is very popular. Even in pharma, SAS is very popular. However, it is a paid software, right? So you have to pay a lot of license fee to get it, and hence I think not every company or every person can afford it. Yes, I think companies can afford it if they have a lot of money. But I think going forward, I see a trend towards open source or free softwares, which I think all of you also would have seen the rise of R and Python of the world. So they are like free, unlike SAS or SPSS. So I see definitely, if I have to choose, of course I don't want to be biased, because I think on your show there will be a lot of people who are from statistics background or who love R. So I don't want to be biased or say anything on that front which is good or bad. Yes, all tools have their strengths, but I would say if you are focusing on job and career opportunity from that perspective, definitely Python as a language is emerging as a stronger language, right? More people are using, more people are demanding it.
Yes.
And definitely for your specific area, I think artificial intelligence is more general, more broad. And as some people said that if you type it in PowerPoint, it becomes AI. If
Mm-hmm.
you write in Python, it becomes ML. So I think for your career perspective, probably if you focus on machine learning, and I think you can progress because you have been working on SAS and maybe some of the traditional algorithms like linear regression or logistic regression, maybe you have idea. So I think for you it will be a natural progression to move towards machine learning using Python, and that I think will help you in your career in the future.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for sharing, and hope it answers his question. Moving
Yeah.
towards our next question is from Vikas T. How to get in, join a data science as a fresher? Like how, I think he wants to ask is like, how to join the data science as a field, as a
Mhm.
fresher, and how can one prepare for data science? So it is like the same thing, like how one can prepare and join as a fresher in the data science field.
Yeah, I think there are some similarities, so I'll not cover the things which you have discussed, but I think there is little difference, and difference is that the earlier person said that he has some domain expertise or work experience and wants to move vis-a-vis this person who is new and fresher. So he might be open to any area, for example. So I would just say the key skills that you need to develop. So I think any field you can enter, it's about your learning, your skill, and your experiences. That's it, right? Of course, if you have some credentials and some degrees, it helps. But at the end of the day, it is your learning and your skills, right?
Yeah.
And from that perspective, I think three key skills that you need to develop. One is definitely you need to be good at mathematics and statistics. So what we call today as data science has a lot of foundation in mathematics and statistics, right? Even some of the neural networks that we are seeing today, the mathematics or statistics part of them had been done probably 30, 40 years back by some really amazing people. And that's why, we are able to use them and make that progress. So I think, please focus on mathematics and statistics. Of course, you can learn a lot, but few areas that can be very helpful for data science are definitely probability, your descriptive and inferential statistics, and linear algebra, where you work with vectors and matrices. So I think these are areas will be very helpful, but that's the core or foundation, right? You need to be good at that. Once you have learned that, I think we have discussed a lot about computer programming, and key reason you need that is because of the scale, right? You can compute the average of two numbers by hand or without using anything. But if you want to compute the same average for millions of customers, you can't do it by hand. And that's where computer programming becomes very handy. So second skill is computer programming. And as I mentioned earlier, I think Python will be very good for you. Or you can otherwise, in case you are comfortable with R or maybe Java or some other language, that's also okay. But computer programming also something you have to learn. Third thing, since this guy is a fresher, I think he should be a little open. But in case he has some inclination towards some particular industry, if you can learn about that industry, I think that will help. In case he wants to go into finance, if you can get a CFA or FRM or get some basic understanding on finance, that will help. And same applies if he wants to go to e-commerce or pharma. I think as much as you can learn the domain will be good. I'll just add a caveat there that I think the domain knowledge or business knowledge part, in my experience, I have seen that you gain once you start working for a company in a real context with real project. But definitely, whatever you can learn with projects, hackathons, or Kaggle, whatever, please try to get that project experience and domain knowledge as well. Yeah.
That's very wise actually, and hope it helps Vikas as well as many people out there who are looking to join the data science field and who are really freshers. So being, whatever points Anshuman highlighted, it is moreover that you have to be open to the learnings and you have to focus on the areas and be strong at what you're focusing on. Definitely you can do your personal projects as well apart from your learnings. That will kind of a highlight for your resume, and hope that helps you to get into the data science field. Thank you so
very
much.
Good point. And based on that, probably I'll just add one or two more points. I think you added very good detail. Just to conclude, so you need to develop the maths and stats skill, computer programming, and domain knowledge. And once you have developed the knowledge, as Lisa said, once you have got the basics correct, then you do projects, hackathon, all those things to build maybe a portfolio, and that will definitely, I think, help you a lot. Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much. And our next question is from Azhar Khan. He's asking that if someone is having good skill set for data science and machine learning and did various certifications as well in the same field, however, have experience of around 5 years in the IT domain, admin domain, and then how he can or make career in the data science, as today everyone is asking for the skills plus the experience, which is like quite relevant. They don't look for the irrelevant experience. So how that person can get into the data science job. So to summarize, I would say that he's looking to transform his career from specific IT admin domain field to the data science. So what would be the guidance for him?
So I think if you ask me honestly, as I said, as a person, I have a different philosophy. As I mentioned earlier also, I give more importance to your skill or knowledge. Like if I am hiring, that will be my primary criteria. But at the same time, I think we have to be practical and realistic to the world that we are living in. And I understand in the current job world, it's not very easy for the earlier person also, for a fresher to get in, experienced person who has an experience in some other field to get in, right? So these are real challenges, and we have to accept that. Now, given that, I think here let's put our focus or goal. Your goal, if it is to get into that field, before that, please be sure that you really want to get in, because as Lisa said, that it's not so easy, right? Yes, if you love it, if you put that effort, it will become gradually easy. But you need to learn a lot of things, and you have to keep learning because new technologies might come, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, given that you have taken care of all those things, that you are very passionate about it, and you have acquired the skills, right? Then I think two things I'll advise. One is similar to what I advised to the last person also. So when you're saying I'm interested, how will the employer know that you are interested, right? If you have done some certification, yes, some of them are good, but some of them are not so good, and maybe people are just watching videos and completing certification. So as an employer, right, how do I know that you actually have the skills and the passion? That is where I think earlier advice that we gave, if you can do some projects, if you do some internship, if you do some Kaggle competition, if you do some hackathon. And nowadays I think a lot of companies are also hiring from Kaggle or hackathon and those kind of things. So that will be one good opportunity area, right?
Yeah.
Second area, since you are already working, and that applies to everybody who is already working in a company, right? So I think in your company also you can have a lot of good opportunity, because a lot of traditional companies are now moving towards data science, right? Earlier probably they use something else. Technology is changing, data is changing. Many companies are setting up data science department. If not a department, definitely they will have some project. If not data science, hardcore data science, maybe some analytics, visualization, SQL, ETL, whatever, whichever is closest to that, right? And I think this person mentioned he has worked on IT admin. So maybe if he has worked on some database or something, right? So in that area, you pick up the other skills that we mentioned, right? Be it Python, be it maybe Spark or Hadoop if you are into big data in that area, right? So pick up those skills, and in your company either try to move to a role which is closer to data science or data scientist kind of role, or at least do some project which has some overlap, if not fully, but has some overlap with the areas that we mentioned. And that will definitely be really great for your profile. And after that, definitely you have to keep trying, right? Nobody succeeds at the first attempt. I think many people after they succeed, they claim, hey, I just tried and I succeeded. But I tell you, and I also wanted to move into data science, though I had decent credential because of my PhD, computer science background, whatever, but I also found it difficult, right? I also applied to multiple places, and then finally I got something that I wanted. So I think don't give up, please learn. Please don't give up, and please keep trying, keep applying. And I'm sure if you don't give up, you will definitely get the right opportunity that you're looking for.
Yeah, and that's very valuable advice to have, that don't give up at all, irrespective of any field you are trying to get into or being successful.
Absolutely.
The major, like, a key point, which is like not giving up. So that is kind of attitude you should have when you are trying to get into or achieve something in your life. So thank you so much. Moving towards our volunteering side. So you do a lot of public speaking, and any incident or the memorable experience would you like to share with the audience?
Okay, maybe I'll not share anything specific, but generally I'll probably love to share. So I think it has been really a great opportunity for me to do that, because I realized that people want to learn this field and they want to get into. However, since our traditional education system, right? Of course, different countries have different system, but wherever I have been to, like say India or some of the other countries, I think traditional education system is still not fully equipped to give those skills. Yes, last 3-5 years it has changed a lot, but probably 5 years back it was not so, right? Only few people were working in the field and they knew what was happening in the industry. And the academic world was very different. And not just academic world, within industry also, as I mentioned, some of the companies have been early adopter, for example your e-commerce or technology company, or some of the retail or finance companies, but companies they have not adopted those things, right? And so I think I was following the trends globally, how it is happening, from that HBR famous article to Glassdoor, and whatever news we get from global news agencies. And I tried to make that move, and then I realized probably I got some knowledge which can help other people, right? And that is where it all started. And of course, it started with one probably opportunity, and I went and talked to one place, and they probably liked it, and they shared with a couple of more people, and
Mhm.
that's how it grew. And also, I have seen after that yes, you can go to a place and talk to few people, probably 100 people will join your talk or lecture,
Mhm.
but social media gives us immense opportunity. I can see that you are active on all the social, really great, because face to face we can meet only few people, right? And at one point of time probably 50 to 100 people, not more than that.
Yeah.
But via social media I think we can reach so many people, and I wish you all the best. I think you're very active, doing great job. And once your channels, of course, they are very popular, and once they become more popular, you can reach thousands and
Yeah.
probably millions of people, right?
Yeah.
And that is where I think I try to also share a lot of content on LinkedIn and
Mhm.
some of the other social platforms.
Mhm.
And of course, some people liked it, some people did not like. And I try to take a very objective view what people like and don't like. I use my data science skills there as well. Of course, I don't share those details, but yeah, I keep checking what people like, don't like, what they find valuable or not.
Mhm.
And based on that, I also try to create probably better content. And as I said, none of us are perfect, and we are just getting there, and we're trying to making ourselves better, and
Mhm.
we're trying to learn. And whatever I learn, I try to share that with people, and
Yeah.
I really absolutely love that. And I think you are also doing some great job in that area, and
Mhm.
probably you could relate that
Yeah.
area. And
Sure.
I really congratulate and wish you all the best for
Yeah.
the
Thank
great
you
stuff
so
you
much,
are doing.
Anshuman. That was very kind. Moving towards your work related thing, you are actually leading your area of interest very well, and you are everywhere. Like, you are in the academics field, you are in the public speaking side, you are doing well in the organization side, and when it comes to the social media or sharing the knowledge through the posts, you are doing
Mhm.
great there as well. Because when I saw your posts, those are very valuable for the people who are trying to get into this field. So talking more about your work experience, now you are head of data science at Sony, and you were professor as well as you tried your hands in the entrepreneurship side as well. So what do you enjoy the most and why?
I think everything has their own positives or negative. Nothing is absolutely good or bad, just like everything else in life. Yeah, so I think there are a few things about academics I really like, that you have so much of freedom. Nobody tells you what to do. I could decide my PhD research topic. If I give a talk, I can decide my topic. What I want to talk about. So that academic freedom part is probably really good in academics. But
Mhm.
at the same time, I think the reason why I moved to corporate was that a lot of things are happening in the industry nowadays. Some
Mhm.
of the latest technologies and projects that we're talking about, right?
Mhm.
Industry and some of the companies are at the forefront, and not every academic institution is being able to keep pace with that,
Mhm.
right? So I think the reason I shifted to industry, and I'm working now in industry, and I absolutely love it,
Mhm.
because I get to know what is happening latest in the industry. Also, there are a lot of things that you require in an industry when you are working with people.
Mhm.
It is very different from an academic world, because you can do some research, you can be the best in that, and you can tell, hey, I know the best, and I don't care what others think, right?
Mhm.
But in a corporate, and you're working with a lot of people, you need to understand what they're thinking, what are their motives, how do you handle emotion, conflict.
Mhm.
And those are challenging part, but I think once you learn, and once you able to influence people or do the right thing,
Mhm.
that's very joyful. On the social media part, I think we've discussed a lot. I'll not again reiterate.
Yes.
Entrepreneurship part, I'll touch just a little bit. Yes, I loved it. I did it for couple of years, and PhD and the area I work on. So I
Mhm.
was working more on the inorganic part of the social media or digital marketing, that how to promote brand or personalities using social media. And I was providing those services to different companies and clients. So I loved it, enjoyed it, and I could make some money from it as well.
Mhm.
However, I also realized that entrepreneurship is very glamorized now, but it's not very easy, right? Just like data science, very glamorized, very lucrative, but not very easy. There are a lot of challenges. You have to take a lot of risk. And the biggest thing that I realized was that yes, my venture was doing well,
Mhm.
but after a point, I could not scale it up,
Mhm.
right? So I was working. My few of my friends were working. We got few people on board, but after a point, we could not scale it up, and that is where I realized that we talk about idea. Idea is very important. but execution is more important probably. You also need capital, you also need network, you also need experience, right? So there are a lot of things which needs to get into a successful venture. In future probably, if I have all those things, or if I have some good ideas as well, maybe I will try again. But for the time, I'm loving my corporate work because I get to learn a lot, and I could share that knowledge when I go for a talk to an institution or on social media. That part also I love. So I think both have their positives and negative, and these two things I want to continue, talks on a part-time basis and corporate work on a full-time basis. So that will be the best for now, I think, for me. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. And basically, you love what you are doing. So that is the major part I understood, that even though you touch the multiple areas or you're handling multiple things at once, you love that doing. So that's why you are keep doing it. So it is moreover important when it comes to the area of interest that you like it, what you do. Then
Absolutely. I
moving towards,
completely agree with you.
yeah. So one more important thing in your profile that I found is strategic thinking in the analytics. So when it comes to strategic thinking, what matters the most, and how to build a good strategy in analytics field for any organization, or what is the good data strategy according to you?
Okay. I think that's a very good question, because this is something which is very important, especially for a business person or the CEO of the company. But in the analytics world, not everybody is so aware. And as I mentioned earlier, also I think I got a little bit lucky, because before getting into analytics, I did some MBA, so that got me some understanding of business. And before getting into core data science, for example, for Spice, I was reporting to group CEO on strategy analytics for the company. So that got me an understanding, bird's eye view, that when a CEO is making the strategy, where does analytics, research, or data science fit in, right? So it has to work as an enabler for that vision or strategy that the company has, and it cannot be on a standalone thing unless you are an analytics company itself, right? So for a business, I will say very simply, right? A business, most of them, of course, we are not talking probably about the social enterprises, but most of the corporate businesses are capitalistic in essence. They are there to make money, whether we like it or not, right? And when they try to do that, the top line revenue and bottom line profit becomes very important. And revenue minus cost is equal to your profit, in very simple terms. So any analytics, data science that you are doing, if it can increase the revenue, decrease the cost, or increase the profit, that is when it becomes strategic, right? So it will not be very evident from the starting, but if you have that view that how do I contribute to the business, and fundamentally this contribute to the business that your CEO, CFO, or the top management will be interested in, that is where I think analytics will become more valuable. And yes, you can do a lot of great and complex models, but if those models can also add this kind of business value, that is where I think it will be a win-win thing for both business and analytics. And that is where I think you will also become more valuable. You will probably grow better in your career, as well as it will benefit your business also more. So I think the strategy has to be aligned to business strategy. I don't think there can be a data strategy which goes in a different direction and doesn't support the business strategy. So I think try to understand your domain, try to understand your business, try to understand the strategy of your company, the goals of your company, and make sure that whatever you are doing, how it is aligned to that strategy, how it adds value to your company and company strategy.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. Moving towards the end of the show, we are going to touch the section leadership. So it is no doubt that you are leading your area of interest. And what is your leadership style? Any specific leader that you follow or admire, and why?
Okay, few leaders I really love, but not necessarily in my personal life I do the same things. So I think in terms of the leaders that I really love and follow, definitely the leader that I used to follow and still love is Steve Jobs. I think he is absolutely brilliant. He is so charismatic, and I think he has in many ways through his companies and endeavors have changed the world, right? So an iPhone has probably had so much impact in last 10-15 years of all of our lives than probably any other technology that I can think of. So I think Steve Jobs is definitely the most loved leader that I really like and admire. And kindly, I really like Elon Musk. I think he's a visionary. He thinks far ahead of the present, and he's trying to solve problems which are very complex, and can have huge impact if somebody can solve it. And also, I think both of them have taken huge risks. So these are some of the qualities I like, and that's why I like these leaders. In my personal area, I think I have evolved a lot from where I started, long back. At one point of time, I used to be very perfectionist, right? Because I thought, whatever I'm doing should be so perfect, right? But once I worked with different people across cultures, across teams, I realized that there are a lot of differences, right? For example, what I think perfect may not be perfect for you, right? And when you talk to different people of different gender, different race, different culture, and here, when I work for Grab, I work with people from China, Japan, Korea, Europe, US, and all. And even Target and Disney, I got opportunity to work with people from different culture. So I realized people, of course, the cultural differences are big, but even within the same culture, people have different motivations, and people have different way of working, and they have different goals and ambitions in their own life, right? So what is perfect to me may not be perfect for someone else. So yes, now also I try to make sure when I'm working with a team that quality of the product is great, and whatever we are doing, be it a product or service, we can maintain as good quality as possible. But at the same time, I won't probably go to the extreme of being like 100% perfect in everything. I have learned to become little bit more, probably say lenient or more flexible, so that you work with people and also listen to them and learn from them. And I realized that I also probably lacked in many areas, and I did not even realize. So when I opened up, listen to people and learn from them, I think it helped me also a lot. And as a team also, we could work better. So I think I have shifted to more of a collaborative and learning from people. Yes, I think there is a long way to go. I don't think I'm anywhere close to perfect, but I'm learning, and I hope to get better at it. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing and giving some more insight towards the leadership style. The way I would like to summarize this episode is that I would say that from his career journey, it is moreover that tagline you can take away is don't give up and keep doing and keep trying the things. And if you see Anshuman doing what he does on the social media or how he shares his knowledge, it definitely shows why people follow him. So I would encourage you to follow his post, because those are very valuable and insightful for the people who are looking to get into this field or grow into this field. Thank you so much. And as I always say, until we meet, happy leading. Let's lead together. Stay safe. Bye for now.